Hi everyone, I'm Kevin from 𝗨𝗶𝗹𝗁, a Web3 software agency in Austria. And yeah, today I want to share with you a couple of key learnings we had in 2023, which were mostly around, let's say, expectation setting, legal frameworks like contracts and so on. And I would say I would just jump right into it. In general, 2023 was a really difficult year for us. I can imagine, or I'm pretty sure that it was for most people, right? The market downturn, even more so in Web3 crypto. And well, I would say I will just share a couple of mistakes we have made and how we have solved them, right? One of the first, let's say, mistakes we have made in terms of contracts and so on. For example, we hired someone who, also a freelancer basically, who promised us a couple of leads. Like I would say 2023 was the year of these lead generators who sell you those qualified calls, or you don't pay anything, right? These kind of things. While it always sounds great on paper, usually those leads are not as qualified as they claim to be. Especially if you work in a niche like we do, it's even more difficult and they tend to sacrifice quality for quantity. So as you can imagine, those leads that we were getting and we're actually paying around 500 euros per call, which is, you know, still a sum, were not qualified at all. Those people were actually just freelancers themselves, consultants, didn't need actually, anything, or they didn't have any money, like no budget. Yeah, or are an agency themselves, like, or even leads that he recommended or suggested were partially not even approached by him. He just, forwarded them. So, of course, this can also be due to, let's say, bad judgment on our side or my side that we hired that person at all. But in general, one key learning here was, for example, don't pay people 100% in advance. And if you do, you should actually set legal terms, like a contract that specifically outlines what happens if YX set doesn't happen, right? So that was one of the first key learnings. Basically, if you follow their pricing terms, like you pay right away, you pay their sum, whatever they want, then you have to basically set the contract terms, like, but if you don't deliver, this happens, right? Except you're fine with the risk, but I wouldn't recommend that anyone in general, even if it's about developers, all these kind of things. One party usually sets the price, one party usually sets the terms. That's how it goes. So that was one of the first key learnings. And of course, that person thought their leads are qualified, although we had a specific project document that specifically outlines what was a qualified lead and what wasn't. So that was the first, let's say, pushback that cost us not that much, right? But it was a really financial pressing time for us. So it was just 3K loss plus some lawyer consultancy. And then we just decided those 3K, of course, are not worth it, right? So we have let them go, or him go. That was the first part. So basically, you set the terms or the price. Of course, if you can set both, do it. But usually one party does one another, right? So that was the first key learning, I would say. The second one is about a client. We even had a podcast together. Of course, I won't say who it was. But we have worked with them for around a year. And, well, they had some brand on LinkedIn. We had some. And, of course, there's some mutual trust, right? You always know if someone is trustworthy or not. At least you think so. So we have worked together for a year. We have developed 1-2 smart contracts for them, have set project documents up, had a couple of calls, all these kind of things. And that was, let's say, it actually was in 2022. Just in 2023, it escalated, like in terms of, hey, what's up now? We basically worked for a year, not like super intensely, right? But all the time a little bit, like that's a project doc, hey, let's jump on the call, let's align, set expectations, project updates, basically work, right? And they also had a couple of deadlines, like let's start this, we need this, and they were 100% aware that we were actively coding already because we have sent them the contract, because we have iterated over requirements, all these kind of things. And well, in my naivety, if that's the right English word, I basically, or at that time, I didn't have contracts. Most of the things we did were on a trust basis, or the client themselves came with a contract, and we basically agreed on some mutual beneficial agreements. But basically, most of it was based on trust, because, well, it was still somewhat bullish ecosystem. And yeah, as you can imagine, after that year, they suddenly started claiming, because I guess they were running out of funds, like most startups were, hey, well, by the way, we had a letter of intent that actively stated, we do this together, and so we actually had something, but I wasn't aware that the letter of intent actually means nothing, like not much at least. So we worked based on that letter of intent. So I wasn't that naive, but I was naive enough to not check with a lawyer. And yeah, that letter of intent basically means nothing. We had that agreement somewhat. And yeah, after a year, they came to us. We weren't aware that you actually started coding and actually started working on this. And we were like, man, we were jumping on a couple of calls. So that was really hard to believe for us. And we were like, well, it was really like empty statements from their sides, because they, of course, knew that we were working on this and that the project has started and all these kind of things. So I've seen it in their faces when we jumped onto calls. They suddenly turned off the video cameras. So it got like a really shady atmosphere somewhat. And yeah, we, let's say, we tried to keep it civilized, especially my co-founder Chris was a little bit further ahead in terms of how to talk with people like this. So he tried to, push it in a way that they think they have full control. Like, hey, yeah, guys, let's do it your way. Shall we now agree on a contract and all these kind of things? Let's get this started. And yeah, they basically just, let it slack over months. And at some point, we just said, thank you. That's not how we work. And yeah, see ya. Basically, just cutting the bridge on our side. That was a key learning. Basically, letter of intents mean not much, right? Especially because we are working with international clients from UK, US, wherever, and we're in Austria. So of course, if you don't have certain things set in an agreement, you're in a really bad situation, right? You are even in a really bad situation if you have a set agreement, because they are far away, right? It's always difficult to enforce things in different legislations. So that was another key learning. Basically, have a service agreement right off the start, after the first 1-2 calls. Then charge a couple of things, of course, in advance. I'm not a fan of charging everything. but a decent percentage based on the sum. If it's like XK, basically a higher ticket, then maybe charge like 30%. If it's a lower ticket, charge 50%. If it's a really low ticket, like 100%, right? If it's a discovery phase, 2K, 25K or something like that, charge everything because it's just overhead. So that was another key learning for us. Basically, have that legal framework around. So we have that now. We have reviewed contracts with our lawyers, and we feel quite confident now. And of course, we're also trying to convert existing clients to that contract, which is of course not super easy, but we try regardless. Really, another thing, if money is involved, it always is a megaphone for your character or for someone else's character. If they are an asshole, they are a super asshole with a lot of money. If they are somewhat good person, they are a really good person with a lot of money. Of course, that's really just generalized now, but I have never seen it differently. And, I can tell you so many stories about this, but those are the three key takeaways, like three key pain points we have discovered this year. And I hope you get a lot of value out of that. And yeah, thank you for watching.